All right, so check it out. Yeah, we got some brand new champions that are being added to Raid. One is an epic and another is a legendary. Both are part of Knights Revan. This is going to be part of Update 1010, of course. And check it out. As we scroll up here, we also have some balance adjustments to our champions and some further balance updates and a bunch of other stuff that we're going to go over together. But I'm going to scroll it back down because I want to learn more about these new champions, and I know you guys do too. We'll start with the epic, work our way to the legendary. And yes, I'm giving away Tagore and Ugo for free, so see that link in the description below to obtain them and also a bunch of free resources. First, we have Dawncaller, and she is going to be a Void champion and epic support, which is really cool. I love support champions. They're one of my favorite type of champions in Raid. But let's find out what she has. She has something called Dawn Spear. It says attacks one enemy, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of the champion's max HP. Pretty typical stuff right there. But she also has Fortifying Ray. It says places a 60% increase defensive buff and a 50% increase attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Yep, she's definitely support epic for sure. And then we have Shimmer of Life, revives all allies with 25% HP and 100% turn meter. Love that she has that revive ability. Also places a block damage buff on that ally for 2 turns. So not only does she revive, she has that buff on top of it when they are up and going. So that's really cool. Then we have Rising Fate. Whenever the champion revives an ally, decreases the cooldown of one of this champion's skills by 1 turn. That is really, really powerful. So she seems legit. Probably worth adding into your arsenal. I really hope to like roll her for sure. Then we have Aura. What is her Aura? Increases ally HP in all battles by 25%, showing that support once again. So that's really nice. Now, what about our legendary Losan here? So, affinity is going to be Force, defensive type here, and then Knights Revenant once again. But first up, we have a Trophic Axe that attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of placing a 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if the target has attacked this champion before the turn. Pretty nice right there. Now, what is Spirit Haculus? The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. The turn meter levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest turn meter. Okay, this is different. Now, the HP levels of all enemies will be brought down to the level of the enemy with the lowest HP. The turn meter levels of all enemies will be brought down to the level of the enemy with the lowest turn meter. Then places a taunt buff on this champion for 2 turns. That's definitely very interesting right there. Then we have Finality Disc. So it says attacks one enemy. Before attacking, transfers all debuffs from the champion to the target and heals this champion by 10% of the max HP. Heals by an additional 10% of their max HP for each debuff transfer. Whoa, this one's wild. You have some wild stuff going on here. We'll always use this skill instead of the default skill when counter attacking. Now, we have Knights Revenant utility as well. On top of all of this, says one faction ally before attacking also removes all buffs from the target enemy. This effect cannot be resisted if the target has attacked this champion before this turn. Now, what happens if you have 2 faction allies on your team with you? It says will attack all remaining enemies with less than 30% HP. Now, this attack will ignore 100% of each target's defense and cannot be critical. Okay, what about 3 faction allies? Furthermore, they say this skill deals 100% more damage to enemies who have attacked this champion before this turn. This sounds really, really OP. Man, he is powerful. Dude, I hope we could roll him. That'd be really nice. Now, also we have the representation. Every time the champion loses 25% HP or more from a single hit, places a block damage buff on this champion for 1 turn. Now we get into Knights Revenant Unity later down the road here. We have, of course, the requirements, 1 faction ally, and so on. You kind of get the idea, but with 1 faction ally, we have when attack has a 15% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. Now, this debuff cannot be resisted. Nice. So, there's no escaping it. And what about 2 faction allies? This ignore defensive effects against this champion are decreased by 100%. And then with 3 faction allies on the team, it says when attacked has a 20% chance of activating an instant turn effect on this champion, occurs once per skill. He sounds ridiculously OP. Now, Aura increases ally defense in all battles by 25%, increases ally resistance in all battles by 60%. Only applies to Knights Revenant, though, so that's the only bummer there. It's very specific. But hey, I love how it's like basically applying to all of your allies. It's not singular or anything like that. So, yeah, fantastic legendary here. The biggest thing is, can we actually pull him? Can we get the roll? And by the way, if you're wanting to gore an epic support champion and Ugo for free, see that link in the description below or click the QR code on the screen and you'll get them both in a bunch of starting resources. So I also wanted to go over some rebalance stuff going on with our champions. We have Skull Lord Vargal, who's getting some balance adjustments. This is a legendary. All right, so let's get into the before and after. Of course, with Gleeful Ripping, what has changed? So it says, has a 30% chance to repeat this skill. Place a 100% heal reduction debuff on the target for 2 turns if this skill is repeated. So this is what's going to change right here. It says each hit places a 100% heal reduction debuff on the target for 2 turns. Now, this debuff cannot be resisted if there is at least 1 ally champion from the Lizardmen faction on your team. So they're making it kind of faction specific. They're really kind of encouraging that playstyle. Now, also we have places a 25% strengthened buff on the champion for 2 turns. This was beforehand for the Skull claim, and then also has a 75% chance of placing that provoke debuff on a target enemy for 1 turn. Now, what's going to change here? It says has a 75% chance of placing a provoke debuff on a target enemy for 1 turn. So that seems to be, in my opinion, like a buff to this character. Now, it says this debuff cannot be resisted if there is at least 1 ally champion from the Lizardmen faction on your team. Again, encouraging that type of playstyle. Places a 25% strengthened buff on all allies for 2 turns. That's really, really good right there. See, it was like beforehand, it was kind of only on your current champion, but now it says for all allies. This is definitely, I would consider that to be a buff, unless I'm missing something, but it seems like it's a buff. Now, Abysmal Clutch says attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns, but what has changed? So, it says this, attack all enemies again, so that's staying the same right there. But what's changed is this in the yellow. It says this debuff cannot be resisted if there is at least 1 ally champion from the Lizardmen faction on your team. Okay, so once again, yeah, that's really nice to have that Lizardmen faction on your team. And we'll also say the same thing here with Skull Brood. The only thing that has changed here is at the start of this champion's turn, revives a random ally from the Lizardmen faction with 50% HP and 50% turn meter. So yeah, you're going to want to team up with the Lizardmen for that one. But Horrific Foe, let's go ahead and take a look at that. It says when attack destroys the attacker's max HP by 5%, destroys the max HP of bosses by 2.5%, and so on. You can see that nothing has changed with this ability, but this is where it gets interesting. Beforehand, it says has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on targets whose max HP has been destroyed by 20% or more. Now, this is what has changed. Has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on targets with any destroyed max HP. So that is really nice right there. So it's gone from 20% or more to basically any. So I consider that a buff as well. Okay, nice. Nice changes here to Skull Lord Vargal. Now, we also have changes to another legendary, Tremeria. And let's take a look and see what's happened here with Nightmare Sludge, shall we? It says, of course, attacks all enemies, has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff. I'm already seeing a change here. It's going to be a 50% chance now to place that decreased speed debuff. So that is definitely a buff right there. Nice. And then we have also has a 30% chance of placing a fear debuff for 1 turn on enemies with 20% or less. Now it is on enemies with 50% or less turn meter. So again, buffs all around. Now what about Stagnation Sickness? So the comparison is this. This is going to be the change right here. It says after attacking has an 80% chance of decreasing the turn meter by 30% of each enemy without a stun debuff. Now the change is this. After attacking has an 80% chance of decreasing each enemy's turn meter by 30%. Okay. That's a good one there. Now, beyond emotions, there's one highlighted thing right here. It says also place a block debuff buff on all allies for 2 turns. So that has been added in there right there. Again, a buff right there. And then for uncanny, we have a bit of a difference at the top here. Immune to sleep debuffs. Now we have immune to sleep, stun, freeze, fear, and true fear debuffs. Once again, a buff overall for Tremeria. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly originally, but who knows. But for balance updates, what's going on there? It says we have a few changes planned for update 10.10 that will affect game balance in different modes. So it says lethal dose and incinerate. Previously arena-specific blessings will work in siege battles. Furthermore, Berserk will be added to the list of debuffs that bosses are immune by default. And some Doom Tower stages will be rebalanced due to the upcoming changes to Skull Lord Firrol. Waves that contain more than one instance of this champion will be changed to feature other Lizardmen champions instead. Okay, interesting. So you're going to have to make some adjustments accordingly for sure. Okay, now, champion rating reset. What does this mean? It says redesign champions rating to efficiently reflect how you evaluate particular champions' performance in different game modes to maintain this relevance and accuracy of this perimeter, especially in light of the regular addition of new champions, rebalances of the existing ones, and in-game meta shifts. We're applying the champions rating reset in the 10.10 update. Oh boy, so please walk through rating your champion once again when you have a chance. This up-to-date information will be invaluable to all players. Okay, so that's going to be super important to mark your champion ratings and stuff like that. But what about this market rework? So what's going on with the market? Does anyone use the market? I'm sure some of you do, of course. Now, it says the market in your bastion will become a hub where all the traders across various game modes can gather. Access by tapping on the regular building, and you'll see tabs for the market itself, token trader, clan, shop, bazaar, soul merchant, and mystic market available within. On top of that, there will be more changes to the market. First, you will be able to find rank 6 gear in it. Nice. Okay, now that's a reason to go into the market. Second, some of the existing sets you're using or have used to obtaining in the dungeons will become available in the market as well. And third, it will start featuring epic and legendary gear more often. The more you progress, the better artifacts you'll get access to. At some point, you may even stop receiving common and uncommon gear among the market offers. I love that. Okay, so buffed in the market. Let's go. Event Dungeon. The Event Dungeon will open its gates once more as a new villain has taken up residence within. Send your best champions to battle against them and claim pinpoint gear while you're at it. Okay, the event will also feature a couple of unique relics, one of which will be available via the Event Dungeon Tournament. A new relic group event will be added along with crafting materials required to create them in the Forge. So yes, keep your eyes peeled and watch official Raid social media for more news. So that is, I will keep you guys updated on that. Champion Chase event, by the way. New legendary champion will be available for free during a dedicated chase event and will work the same as previous few chases, meaning you only need to log in 7 times to claim the champion, but more logins will yield additional rewards and unlock the second phase of the event, where you can earn split souls to increase the champion's awakening to level 5. Okay, so this right here is a bit of a tease of upcoming things, so stay tuned. I will have the news when it drops, and then we're going to have a new raid event, a new major event will launch at the beginning of January, and will include various activities. We already went over that, but yeah, I'm kind of going in reverse here because I thought the most important things that you would want to know are about those champions. But anyway, yeah, a lot happening around Raid here already in 2025. Some cool stuff. I love the fact that they're doing more stuff with the marketplace. We got the 2 champions that were added in. And also, I actually did the, what was it called? The progressive chance opening of the primal shards and some void shards and ancient shards, and got some really cool epic supports here. So I cannot wait to really start utilizing them. I have been upgrading them through the campaign, doing the multi-battles, getting them, in shape here, I guess you would say, getting them ready to go. But also I'm going to do some updates about my account that I've started pretty new recently. Things are going very, very smoothly. I've ascended some champions. I have really ranked them up. It's getting pretty exciting as I keep going through my career here. But yeah, some really cool stuff going on. I just need to get her upgraded as well. But my focus is upgrading her currently and this Urugrim, I believe it is, right here. But yeah, stay tuned here for more news and updates, guys, about all things Raid Shadow Legends. And remember, by the way, if you want Teodor and, of course, Ugo for free right now, follow the link in the description below. Click that QR code on the screen, and you will obtain them immediately. Well, you'll obtain Teodor immediately, and then you'll get Ugo for free as well at level 15. So yeah, that's really cool. And a bunch of cool resources that'll get you the best start in Raid Shadow Legends. Hell yes. All right, so there it is. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Take care.